Welcome, oh welcome to episode 1 of the ATF Tapes. So I've been wanting to kind of get more gun content back into the channel. I have gone away from that a little bit, but it's never really not been there. I haven't not liked guns anymore or anything like that. It's less and less part of my everyday life. And I got real into firearms. Did a lot of stuff to it, but I was still doing other things, and it's more other things now and not just gun stuff. So that's why it hasn't been on the channel in a while. But I did want to bring it back, and I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while, and finally decided on at least starting it up to see how it goes. Usually a lot of you here on the channel are the gun content videos get a decent amount of views compared to everything else, so I did want to bring it back, even though like all gun content is completely demonetized from YouTube now. Anytime I do anything related to firearms in any way, or cigars, it's like any gun content or any cigar content just immediately gets demonetized, which sucks, but I like them, so I still want to keep them on the channel. So I did decide on to do the ATF tapes, and we're going to do different episodes on different things. But it's always going to be ATF. It's always going to have alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Most of the time, because of what I like, the tobacco will usually be cigars. And I don't think it might ever not be cigars, but we'll see. And the alcohol, I am a real big whiskey guy, so I'm not a real big guy, beer guy. So it's usually going to be some kind of whiskey, some kind of cigar, and we're going to have, at least in some way, some firearm content with this. With the first episode of the ATF tapes, I thought it would be appropriate that probably way far and beyond the most popular content on my channel ever has been my custom SD9 pistol, SD9VE pistol. I have done a crap ton of stuff to this guy, so we're going to go over everything I did and what's on it and stuff. So for the alcohol part of the episode, this is the Evan Williams 1783. I am a big fan of this whiskey. If you like whiskey, you like that like dark, woody, bitter kind of taste, this is a real good option because you can get a whole handle, at least in Virginia around where I live, and if depending on where you live, prices are going to change. You can get a whole handle of this, which is 1.75 liters for usually under $30, which is a crazy good deal, and it is one of the better whiskeys I've tried. Not the best, definitely not the best, but as far as what you get for the price, this is one of my favorites. So the tobacco part, and one of these videos will usually have a sponsor in some way or another, or maybe in more than one way or another, to try and help, keep on doing this if you guys like them. But this cigar and most of the cigars I've shown on the channel, probably in at least the near future, and most of the stuff in the past, have come from Southern Cigar Company. They sponsor the channel, and they send me a box of cigars every month. How they do it, it's a monthly subscription box service that you usually get 4 cigars, and you do get a little card like this that I've completely tore up, giving you a little bit of information about each of the cigars. I have worked with other cigar companies in the past. Southern I've kind of stuck with, at least for a few months, and I like the variety of stuff I've gotten from them. All the cigars are relatively good, at least. Some are really good, some aren't that great, and but I like the variety, and it's a real good option if you're like new to cigars. I am a newer to cigar person, but it's something that I found that I really enjoy, especially with whiskey. And so they are usually the sponsors of the video, as in they send me the cigar box. If you want to join Southern Cigar Company, you can go onto their website. I do not gain anything from you joining. If you do or you don't, it doesn't matter to me. They just sponsor the channel by sending me a box every month and showing it in some videos. So I don't care if you sign up or not, so I don't. But if you'd like to, I like them. You should check them out. I don't gain anything from it, so let's go ahead and check this cigar out. This one is one of the more interesting cigars, at least in the recent past, that I've gotten from them. It's a Gurkha, which I have had one Gurkha before. It was a Gurkha Real that I really enjoyed. It had a big, strong, like cocoa chocolate taste to it. So far, I'm at least a somewhat Gurkha fan. This is a Gurkha cigar. It is a Cellar Reserve 12-year platinum, and this cigar has been aged for 12 years. Usually when you get aged cigars, it's usually something special. So we'll find out. The strength is medium. Wrapper is a Brazilian Maduro. The size is a Robusto, which is 5.0 by 52. This is the first ATF episode, so if this is your first video or cigar video you've seen on my channel, if you don't know anything about cigars or the size, the Robusto cigar coming in at 5.0 by 52. What does that mean? The 52 is the ring size, which is the diameter, which means this is a 52 ring diameter size, and then the 5 inches comes in at the length of the cigar. So it's a Robusto 5.0 by 52, and the origin is Nicaraguan, which Nicaraguan and Dominican cigars are usually what you're going to find with this. They aren't the best, but they're relatively good. I've liked generally the majority of cigars from these boxes I get from them. So that is the cigar we're trying out today. Some people really get irritated with this. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. But it's a real cool label. Got the age 12 years on it and the Gurkha Cigars website on the back. Some people get irritated when you take the label off. Some people like to take the label off. Some people don't like to take the label off. It really doesn't matter because, I mean, it's your cigar. So, and if you are new to cigars, usually when you cut, or in my preference, I cut as little as possible most of the time, because you don't want to try and cut the whole tip off. And one of the greatest things in life that, for me anyway, is having a real nice cigar at night and a real good glass of whiskey. So, on to the firearm part of this video. We have the custom SD9VE. I have said a lot of times in my video, I think I have the coolest SD9VE, and I do. I mean, this pistol has gotten an absolute ton of hate on the internet, period. Not even just on my YouTube channel. It gets a lot of hate on my YouTube channel, but online in general, there's a whole lot of people that really get pissed off that people like this pistol. Now, before we start talking about anything that I've done to this pistol, I have had an enormous amount of people say, why would you spend this much money on a pistol like this? Why not buy a Glock? You're an idiot. Buy a Glock, buy a Glock, buy a Glock. You hear that all the time. Or buy an M&P. Glock is most of the time what I hear. But this was one of the first pistols I have gotten. I've had this for a while now, and when I really started getting into firearms, I found out that I have a machine shop. My family owns a machine shop, so I've been doing cool stuff all my life, and that's what I do, so I'll keep on doing it. And then when I really got into firearms, I was like, and saw a lot of the customization that people had done to pistols and rifles and everything, really, I was like, well, wow, I can do that. So I just started doing stuff like that, started doing modifications to pistols, and started making stuff for rifles like the ARs, and really enjoyed it. And I haven't completely stopped. It's just that it's not the only thing that I'm doing anymore. I did do a lot of just custom gun stuff. I had done some stuff for other people, but most of the time it was just for me, just for fun. Like this pistol, I got it because I wanted it, because at the time when I got this pistol, it was the only full-size pistol that I had, and I don't think I've ever carried this on me ever, even after I got it. I had a small single stack pistol that was my first pistol ever. I got that for concealed carry. I wanted a full-size pistol just to have in the house, and I got this. After I got this, I got a couple of Glocks. I still have a couple of Glocks that we might be showing later in other videos of this if they keep on going. So a lot of people comment on the videos that I have on this and talk about how you're an idiot, you shouldn't do any of this, you should just buy a Glock. I still have Glocks. I have done stuff to Glocks. I did a lot of stuff to this, but I still like this pistol. And there's a lot of people that just absolutely hate this pistol and hate on everybody that likes this pistol. I like this pistol. I mean, it's not the greatest pistol. It's not. It's not the worst pistol either, but it's a great pistol for the money. I think when I got this pistol, I think I ended up paying like $350, maybe a little bit less. And I think now you can usually find this pistol for, I've had people comment on the channel that they've gotten it for less than $300, like $280, $275. So depending when you see this video, I mean, there's no telling how much you might be able to find one. If you find a used one somewhere, I'm sure it'll be cheaper than that. So that's the story with this pistol. Now let's start going over everything about it. First off, we're going to talk about this light. I have shown this pistol on the channel with a couple of variations of lights on it. I have other lights. This is a dagger defense pistol. It's one of the more cheaper lights you can go with on there. It's not a bad light, but it's a relatively cheap option that I still like. I've got a bunch of dagger defense stuff that I've gotten over the years, and I like all of it. It's very well priced. It's not the best out there. It's not a stream light. So it's a good option for a budget build in any way. I've got dagger defense lights that I've had on a budget AR build, and I like this one for the pistol. This specific one is the DD-SD07. I did a video on this and another earlier variation of this thing that the previous one, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was just on and off light, and this one they made it look a little bit different, and it's got a strobe feature on it. The only reason I don't have one of my stream lights on this is because I have other pistols that I like to carry better than this. As I said, I've never really carried this. This was just a fun pistol. I have Glocks that I do conceal carry, and different ones, not the same thing. And I've got one that's just pretty much stock, done very little to it. I've got one that I did a lot of stuff to that I'm sure we'll go over both of those later in other episodes. I usually have the stream lights that I have on those pistols. So usually there's the dagger defense on here. I like changing it up stuff every once in a while depending on how I feel, what I like, stuff like that. But most of the time this dagger defense light is on this pistol. We also have a Talon grip on here. If you haven't checked them out, I do like them. I have used them for a long time. My very first pistol I bought, I got one of these and put on there. And they make AR grip pistol, I guess you call it a sticker. It's pretty much a sticker, but they stay on really well. I've gotten a couple of them for pistols, and I've tried some of their AR grip ones, but it's just pretty much a sticker. That grip is really good. I really like the feel of this, and you clean it, whatever grip you're putting this on, clean the grip, and then peel the back off of the Talon grip that you get and stick on. And this one's been on there for years, and I've never had an issue with it. I really like those. I have done a couple of videos on magazine extensions for this. This is one of those pistols that it's not really big or popular, so you don't have a whole lot of options to go with. Probably, I'll go ahead and say I don't know if I want to say the best. It's one of the better options, one of the only options really, is this guy. I've had this on here the whole time that I've gotten any magazine extensions for this pistol. This is from Apex Tactical. I really love Apex. They make real good quality stuff. I've got Apex stuff on this. I've got Apex stuff on some of my Glocks that I have. Really like Apex. Really good quality company to go with, and also very reasonably priced stuff. But this one is from Apex Tactical. I think you can pop, I think it says 2 to 3 on the SD9VE. I've only really been able to get 2, and that was pressuring it. I think you can get a hold of this thing for like 30 bucks online. You can get it, when I got it anyway, you can get it in different places. And I think I got word from Apex not too long ago that, because they used to not have it on their website, and now I'm pretty sure I heard that they do have it on their website. So first place I check is Apex Tactical's website. If it's not on there, or if it's sold out, at least at one point other websites had it on there. And then one of the best upgrades you can do to this pistol, which I've talked about numerous times, is the trigger. This is the trigger and spring upgrade kit. I did both of them to this pistol. I recommend that if you want to do this, you do both the trigger and spring upgrade kit. They are two different kits. You can get a trigger upgrade kit or a spring upgrade kit. I highly recommend you go ahead and do both of them. I think one's like $20 and $20, and one is $30. Can't remember which, but usually you're going to spend about 50 bucks to do it. But is not that hard to do, and there's plenty of videos of other people installing it on this. So there's plenty of information out there, and all you need is like a hammer and a punch. I mean, it's real easy to do, not that hard. But I did do both of those on here. One of the best by far upgrades you can do. And then we're going to move up to the slide on this. I did some machining work. As I said, my family owns a machine shop, so any of the machine work you see on this, or really anything else, at least firearm related, I did it. And I think everything I've done like this, I've done a separate video on the channel. Like anything I've done to this pistol, there's a video on the channel. So if you hear me say something, I'm 99% sure there is a video on what I just talked about, on everything on this. So if you're interested, you can check that video out. Just go on YouTube and type Josh Wiley SD9VE and whatever you're talking about, and it should pop up immediately. Anytime you type in SD9VE on YouTube, I've got a couple of videos that pop up relatively quick. So you shouldn't have a problem with finding out any of the videos, or you can just go to my channel, I guess. So the machine work that I did to this, I did cut a little port window. That is on most pistols a like heat thing, to if you're shooting a whole lot, it kind of helps the heat go away and not let the slide heat up so much. People feel different types of way about that. I just did this because I wanted to do something to this. It's a fun pistol that I did stuff to, and it looks cool. Everybody has a ton of questions about it, so that's what that is. I did that, and that's the only I've seen people do some stuff to the side and corners and stuff. I just kept it relatively simple, did that. And then I actually machined the slide to fit this red dot optic. I have seen and have not tested, so I cannot answer any questions about it. There is a plate that you can get that I think you remove the rear sight on this, and then you can press this plate in that you can mount different micro red dot optics on. I don't know if who's got them or if they still sell them or what, if they're any good or if they're trash, I don't know. But I went ahead, since I was able to, and machined the slide for this red dot optic. So since we're talking about that, this is a Vortex Venom red dot. And before this actually got probably the permanent home on this pistol, I did actually have this on one of my AR builds that I did. I don't particularly like micro red dots on ARs, since I did it and used it and found out I don't really like that thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing, it's yours, you do whatever you want to. So I ended up taking it off of that, and then somewhere down the road did the machine work to the port window, and then went ahead and mounted this on here. I did that all at the same time. So I machined the top so it was a nice flat surface, and then this mounts with 2 small screws in here. So I had to drill and tap 2 holes in here to get it to mount right. So that's how I've got this mounted. If you're interested, I do not do stuff like this to other people's stuff anymore, because I have gotten so busy with other stuff I've got going on. I did say in the past that I had helped a couple of people out with doing stuff, and I have had a ton of people message me on YouTube, or comment on YouTube, message me on Instagram and stuff about doing stuff like this. And I mean, I've got a ton of stuff going on. I haven't been able to fit anything in for like a year or 2 now. So I haven't been doing anything like this to anybody else's pistols. Anytime you see anything new on the channel with firearm content like this, if I did something like this, it was just something that I wanted to do, and I really don't have the time to try and take on public stuff right now. That I don't know, that might change in the future, but right now I can. But this red dot is, the slide is machined to accept this red dot optic on here. Then the other thing is the barrel on this thing. I have done a couple of variations on this pistol. Before we get into this barrel, I did do, before we talk about that, like I said earlier, I mentioned that there's virtually nothing out there on options for this pistol. Up until this barrel, there was no barrel option on this pistol. Absolutely none. And I really wanted one because I had done other stuff to this pistol, and I was like, all right, well, I've already got the stock barrel, I'll just do something to it. So what I ended up doing, and like I said, I've got, I think multiple videos I've featured the barrel in. But I took the stock barrel out, and the stock barrel extends out of the slide roughly 1/8 of an inch out of the slide. So I went ahead and machined it so it would mount up flush on there when you install the barrel on the slide. And then I did a crown in the end of it. It's a little chamfer on the inside. That I've heard a couple of arguments about how it helps this or that. I don't know. I don't know if it actually does. Maybe if you shoot it enough and you did some weird experiment or something, it might tell you something. I don't know. The main reason I did it is because it looked freaking cool. So I did do that. I modified the stock barrel on this pistol. Like I said, I did do a video on it. And then I sent it out to, went out to California to Titanium Gun. They do titanium nitride finishes on stuff like this. I have used them a couple of times on different projects. Really like their work, and very reasonably priced. So I did do that. Then I had had a couple of people talk about different barrel options, about doing like an extended barrel. And before I got the first comment from somebody on YouTube, I had already thought about this. And it could be done, but it would take a whole lot of work, and I really didn't have the time. I thought about it serious for a while, and it didn't really work out. I mean, I put some serious thought into it about doing it, and I really didn't have the time. Then, and at some point I was like, this is a lost cause. I won't have the time to do this. If I started on it, it would probably take, I don't know, years before I actually got it done, and then it wouldn't be quite as good as some kind of fire. Like, they make barrels with rifling in them and everything. I wouldn't be able to do that because I don't have. I mean, my machine shop services like industry, not firearm stuff. So I wouldn't be able to rifle it. So there was that. Then at some point I came to, I'm not even going to try to attempt this. So probably about a year down the road after I had completely given up, I got word that Apex Tactical, which I've worked with in the past, really like that company, found out that, hey, they're going to make a barrel for this pistol. And anytime you go online before that point and look up SD9VE upgrades, they're one of the top names that came up because their trigger and spring kit was a very, very good quality upgrade for this pistol. So I got word they were coming out with a barrel. I was like, oh man, I've been thinking about this. I need to get a hold of one. So lo and behold, some time passed from the time I found out that they were actually doing one, and got a hold of somebody at Apex, and they were willing to send one out to the channel. And I got a extended threaded barrel for this pistol. A lot of people have questions about this. I haven't done a whole lot of shooting with this pistol because I've been so busy. I did do an initial video on the barrel, and I really, really like the barrel. The quality from Apex Tactical is next to none. I love all of their stuff. It fit great. It was wonderful. So when they finally agreed to send one out to the channel, I pulled the modified stock barrel that I had in this out and threw this guy in, and it came with a thread protector. It's half 28 thread, if you're wondering, like just about any pistol barrel out there. Really like the fitment. The coating is phenomenal. I liked everything about this barrel. Works nice. And I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and a lot of people have seen the initial video I did on this and said they're really having trouble finding this. I know Apex did like one production run. They got like a batch made. I don't know if they've had more batches made or not, but recently, in the past few months, I've had a lot of people comment and said they can't find one. It's really hard to find one. They probably made a limited number of them to see how they go, and I don't know if they're making any more, honestly. I mean, I got one, so I'm excited. If you didn't and they don't, I'm sorry. That really sucks, but I liked the outcome of the extended threaded barrel on this. Really liked it. And I think that's just about it with this. There are other options of stuff that I haven't done to this, like completely different other stuff that I haven't done to this that, I don't know, I might end up doing in the future. There's a couple of options that are the same thing, but you have different options to go with. I said something about the magazine extension. I did do a video on somebody else's magazine extension for this that right out of the bat, I personally don't like as much as this, but I have given some thought for a while to doing some like modifications to it to make it better. So that might be featured in another episode of this. I don't know. It might have its own video that has not on this show. I don't know. But I think that's pretty much it on the SD9VE pistol. So yeah, that's the custom SD9VE. I love this pistol. It's a cheap pistol, but it's nice, and I don't care what you have to say, and I'll probably never get rid of it. So I think that's probably going to conclude the first episode of the ATF tapes. I think it is. So, we had a good cigar. I like this cigar from Southern Cigar Company. We had Evan Williams 1783, which I highly recommend. I wish Evan Williams sponsored this video, but they didn't. So, I didn't reach out to them. I mean, I'm not that big of a channel here. You got to work with me. So I did buy the whiskey. They didn't sponsor the channel, unfortunately. But really like this whiskey. The cigar is pretty good. Really like. I like Gurkha cigars. Apparently, all of them are that I've had are pretty good. And the SD9VE, the custom SD9VE, the coolest SD9VE there is out there on the internet. And you could go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comment section below about my coolest SD9VE pistol. I mean, I know it is. You don't have to tell me it's not, because I know it is. I mean, come on now. It's cool. It's the coolest. I've seen other people do other stuff to it, but it's still not as cool as mine. So, this concludes the first episode of the ATF tapes.